Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
Welcome into a big, humongous Friday here on the JP Peterson Show. We are going to have great conversations today about your Tampa Bay Lightning and what went on last night at Amalie Arena. There was a lot going on last night. I was chatting up with Tristan Wirfs right before he got a new mate at center. Baker Mayfield was there. There was a whole bunch of stuff going on last night, including the Lightning with a lead. It didn't last long. So is this the end of the Lightning run? We will discuss with broadcaster Dave Randorf at 10:45 and also Corey Long at 10:15, who will join us, who will also be chatting about the NFL draft last night. The Bucs get their man in Graham Barton. Superb pick for them at 26. Really helps the team. We'll get into that and so much more in the NFL draft. The Atlanta pick of Michael Penix Jr., the Tampa Bay Tech's own local kid who grew up here in Dade City, is the talk of the NFL this morning. I'll tell you why it's a horrible pick, and I'll tell you why it's a great pick. Huh? Stay tuned for that. That's a tease. Good morning to you, Tim Ham, IndyCar Tim. How are you?
Good morning, JP. Good morning, Tampa, St. Pete. And boy, it was a long night for sure.
Well,
for
you cover like 17 teams for Sports Illustrated, right? So you're covering the Cowboys. You're covering the Bucs now, right? You got that gig.
Yeah,
and you're covering the Ravens. Yeah, so we're gonna get into all that stuff.
Yeah, so I've moved over from Sports Illustrated. I'm now with Athlon Sports.
Okay.
Because there was a huge, I don't know, it was a huge public Sports Illustrated fiasco. Yeah. So I've moved on from them. But yes, for Athlon Sports, I've now got 10 teams, including the Bucs. I'm no longer a Ravens guy, but somehow I got Browns and Steelers and all of that.
Oh, okay. All right.
Got well, good. Too, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah, you got the inside scoop on all that stuff. So we'll tap into your brain, no doubt. So you guys can jump in the comment section here. You can do that on YouTube, on Facebook, at FanStream JP on Twitter. If your comments on Graham Barton, the pick, and we'll start. Well, since we're going to get to the Lightning and everything, we'll start with the Buccaneers. We've been talking about this for months, right? The interior line is the number one way to improve this team the fastest. And Graham Barton and Jackson Powers Johnson were both on the board when they picked at 26. We had, thought that they're, with the Cowboys wanting a center, with the Eagles needing a center, with who else was out there? The Steelers. There were a lot of teams that were looking at center who passed on these really, really good players, maybe thinking they can get them later in the draft, and that may pan out to be true. But if you're at 26 in a draft and you've just come from 4 straight playoff appearances, and you can get a player at your biggest need who was the number one center in the draft. We talked about Jackson Powers Johnson. I loved him a lot. But when you get down to all the consensus rating of the number one center, it's Graham Barton from Duke. And he's got size at 6'5", 313. I watched a ton of his tape last night and this morning, and I'd watched a little before and been impressed. I watched a lot of the FSU tape where he was blocking Jared Verse in the pass game. And, that's where those are the pieces of tape you want to look at. And he looked really good. He's super athletic. So he can play left tackle. He can play right tackle. He can play guard, and he can play center. That versatility is tremendous. And it's going to help you down the line, because what happens? Injuries happen all the time. And when you can move a guy, and he's super smart, football IQ off the charts, went to Duke, obviously, and he's got a nasty way of finishing off blocks, which is very Ryan Jensen-esque. Jason Light described him as having, the nastiness of Ryan Jensen, the athleticism of an Ali Marpet, and intelligence and the personality of Tristan Wirfs, which is great because it fits in well with your team. Right? You get a guy that really fits your culture. So I think this is a freaking home run for the Bucs. As if you're picking at 26 and you fill your biggest need with the best player at that position in the draft, what freaking else could you want? I mean, yeah, is edge rusher your best need, biggest need? Either one of those, interior line or edge rusher, were your biggest needs. There's no question about that. and you filled one of them. And, Jared Verse went at 19 to the Rams. He was getting close. Did the Bucs want to trade up to maybe do something? Probably. But, now you've got 4 guys, experienced guys coming off the edge that you're going to have to kind of mix and match with the Randy Gregory and JTS. And you've got to mix and match with Kalijah Cansey and Vita Vea and your inside linebackers. And all this comes into pass rush. And maybe they'll get somebody in the second, third, or round. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like there's a lot of great edge rushers in this draft. There's not. But that's what we say now. We don't know, right? I mean, how many good edge rushers have we seen go in later rounds? It can happen. They can find a guy. So, look, would you have loved to get both? Yeah, and we'll see what happens in this draft. But right now, with where I think the draft certainly came to them, we predicted 6 quarterbacks would go ahead of them. They did. The offensive tackle run helped these guys get down the way to the Buccaneers. So we'll hear from Graham Barton and Jason Light a little bit later on. But I know the Bucs are thrilled, and I know they probably wanted to move up, but they did a great job of sitting still and waiting for the draft to come to them. And now they're rewarded with keeping that extra 3rd-round pick, which turned into a really, really good player. And you look around the division, that's where you start, right? That's where you start to see who else got better. And the Atlanta Falcons did not get better. Not this year. And Michael Penix, I think, he's my 2nd-rated quarterback in this draft behind Jaden Daniels. I think he's a superb thrower of the football. I think he's going to be a really good quarterback in this league. And I think sitting behind Kirk Cousins is going to help him. But I keep hearing everybody talk about, Jordan Love. Look at Jordan Love. They drafted him, and that worked out. Did it? Did that work out for the Packers? I don't know, Tim. Did they win the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers?
It looks good so far, but to say that it's fully worked out, I think
it doesn't look good.
Because
here's why. In the last 3 years with Aaron Rodgers, did they win the Super Bowl with Jordan Love sitting on the bench? No, they didn't.
If that was your immediate, right. If that was your immediate goal,
that's my
Super Bowl,
point.
Then no.
You didn't help Aaron Rodgers when you had Aaron Rodgers.
Right.
You did not help Kirk Cousins when you went out and got Kirk Cousins. What the hell are you doing? Dallas Turner's sitting right there to make you a better defensive team. This just in, you got to play defense and have a pass rush. And the best pass rusher in the draft is sitting right there. As a Buccaneers, quote, fan, I love it. I may not love it in 3 years when Michael Penix starts playing, but right now, I like it because the Atlanta Falcons had a chance to get a lot better this year and make an impact this season. That roster is loaded offensively, right? You had a chance to get better, and your glaring need is pass rush. And the edge rushers are really hard to find, the really great athletes, right? That's a premium position in terms of the high draft, right? This is, and you had an opportunity to fill that need, and you whiffed. Now, and here's the thing I don't understand, Tim. Didn't they know they had the 8th overall pick when they signed Kirk Cousins? Yes, they did know that.
I guarantee you they did not think Penix was going to be there. And look, here's
well, that's on them because everybody had Michael Penix not even going in the 1st round, for God's sakes.
And here's the perfect example of why the Falcons are a subpar organization.
Exactly.
Because if you watched the press conference with Terry Fontenot last night, and Raheem Morris up there, and Morris was just quiet. He didn't say a word. Fontenot was doing all the talking. Poor Raheem Morris, by the way. Yeah. He doesn't know what he's getting into over there. But, dude, Fontenot was backtracking. He said, man, we just feel like this is the best thing long-term for our organization. And you know what? Kirk Cousins didn't even know they were going to do that until they were on the clock. That's a popular story that's out there now. James Slater reported it. Yep. And Kirk Cousins is not happy. You know what, Kirk Cousins, I don't really care if you're happy. You got $100 million guaranteed, so who cares? But you know what? I think it was a panic move. I think they wanted to go defense. They needed to go defense, like you said. But when they saw Penix's name there at number 8, they thought, wow, we've got something here for the long term. And Fontenot, who's not a good drafter by any stretch in Atlanta, I don't think.
No.
It was a panic move. And
Tim, why is it a panic? Why is it a panic move? Have you not been paying attention? Everybody knew Michael Penix was going to be there at 8.
That's why.
You knew that when you I'm sorry. You knew that when everybody had JJ McCarthy rated up above him. And I mean, you do that. I mean, this is your job as a general manager. You have to be predictive. Okay, is Michael Penix going to be there at 8? I think 99% of people would say in this draft, unless somebody just loved him and was going to jump up and grab him, he's going to be available. And if you liked him that much, why the F did you sign Kirk Cousins? And it's not like this is a guy that played, 12 starts like Trey Lance and was going to need some seasoning. The dude's 24 years old. He's had 50-some starts in college. He's ready to go. You're going to sit him on the bench. He's going to be drawing Social Security by the time he gets the chance to play. And what do you do? So to me, drafting Michael Penix is not really, as I look at the big mistake. The big mistake is signing Kirk Cousins. What you could have used that money to go get Danielle Hunter or in a corner and improved your defense, and then had 3 great players going into this year instead of a broken down old quarterback and a guy that's got to sit behind him and no edge rusher and no corner. I mean, there's no continuity to the process.
So remember when the trade went down for Kirk Cousins and we were all scratching our heads and we had huge question marks and balloon things over our heads, right? Like, and then we're saying, okay, well, maybe it'll make sense after the draft. Okay, maybe they'll address these other needs in the draft. They'll give Kirk Cousins some protection. They'll improve on defense. Dude, we're not even through the draft yet, and the question marks are even bigger over my head. Like, what was the point of the Kirk Cousins trade? I don't get it.
Think about this, Tim. Let's say you had $100 million in cap money that you gave up in 2 years. I turned that into Danielle Hunter and a corner, right? And a really good one. I'm not, I'm just, if I'm Fontenot, right? With all the assets you had, you could have gone and got Justin Fields. Right? For nothing.
Yeah.
For nothing.
6th round pick.
You could be sitting there right now with Justin Fields as your quarterback, right? Dallas Turner coming off the edge, Danielle Hunter coming off the other edge, and a first-rate corner, another defensive tackle. What you want to play that team if you're the Buccaneers, or you want to play this team that has 0 pass rush and just drafted a quarterback that's going to sit for 2 years? I mean, you look at the total package of what the Falcons could have done and where they could be sitting right now, having probably 4 or 5 really good players. I don't know how Justin Fields is going to. I'm just saying, you got a broken, and what you have now is a guy has put up a lot of yards, has done squadoosh in the playoffs in Kirk Cousins, and you missed out on 2 or 3 other really, really good players that you could have through salary cap, and now you're drafting a quarterback for the future. All right, good for them. We've talked enough about the Falcons. That's one more thing. Dumb.
One more thing.
That's just dumb.
One more thing that puts the cap on the stupidity here. They're worried about Kirk Cousins getting hurt, right? Or being healthy. 50 years old. Swear to God, he's my age. Coming off an Achilles tear, which is horrible for younger players, much less older players. Aaron Rodgers excluded because he's a freak. We all know it. He's got some alien technology that repaired his AC or his Achilles. I'm convinced. But you draft Michael Penix, who also has a history of injuries. He had season-ending injuries all 4 years that he was at Indiana. He's not the healthiest quarterback that was out there either.
Right. They're gonna have an assistant coach, a quarterback's coach, an offensive coordinator, and a first responder in their quarterback room at all times. I mean, man, whatever. Good for them.
I'm glad I'm not a Falcons fan. I'll tell you that.
Well, I have a lot. All my friends at sports radio up there just it's been a bloodbath this morning on sports radio in Atlanta, and it's just and they deserve it, quite frankly. But back to Graham Barton. He is a perfect culture fit for this team. Interior line, versatility, and again, folks, we've said this for months, so I hate repeating myself, but your biggest chance to improve was improving your worst player on the team. And that, I hate to say that, but that's because Robert Hainsey is a great dude, super guy, and great and good to have him. He's very versatile. You can move him up, down the line. You got a great backup center now if something happens with Graham Barton. So he's a great guy to have on your team, and he's great culture-wise. He just wasn't a very good center. And now you got a guy who's a devastating run blocker, really good at athletic and pass blocking, super smart, is going to be a starter for 10 to 12 years, has nastiness in him. This is a home freaking run pick, and it makes the Bucs so much better right now. And that to me is what's important. It ain't 2 years down the road. It ain't 3 years. This pick helps you now. And you're set up for the rest of the draft. You got a second and 2/3 that you didn't have to give away. So in a very rich draft in the next two to the second and third round. So the Bucs sit really, really pretty right now. And it's interested to see what they do tonight and this weekend.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get to the Lightning here in a second. We got to take a quick break to get Corey Long on the line. We will do that. We're brought to you by the great folks at Hydrate Heroes, and we'll have our Hydrate Heroes Hero of the Week coming up in our second hour. And he's a 2-star general, just to let you know about it. And we got the 2-star general coming on the show today. Yeah.
I forgot how to salute.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, let's stand up and salute. So thanks to the Hydrate Heroes, folks. And we're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. They are local. They get results, and we love them because they are local. Scott Jeeves has an office in St. Pete and in Tampa. Go with the local folks who know the local landscape of our legal field here. JEEVES lawgroup.com. Back at 3. JP here for my friends at your local Synovus Bank. And I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta. Big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation. And that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or try to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
With over 34 years of producing small and large events, Extravaganza Productions is truly a Tampa treasure when it comes to creating some of the very best events in Tampa and all across the United States. I've worked with them at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductions, the Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-sized event spread across all of Tampa Bay. They are the very best, from small meetings to exceptionally large corporate conferences to galas, fundraisers, sporting events, grand openings, whatever you want. Team EPI has an extremely talented staff of designers and show producers that develop extraordinary events fueled by the visions of their clients. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to a draft day edition of the JP Peterson Show on the Football Friday. It's a Football Friday. It's a Lightning Friday. We're talking all types of local Tampa Bay sports. Congrats to Michael Penix, the highest quarterback in Tampa Bay high school history to be drafted at number 8. Good luck to you, my friend. Hopefully that backside of Kirk Cousins looks great for 2 years. Hold that clipboard. It's going to be fun. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Corey Long, who covers the Bucks and your Tampa Bay Lightning. Was at the game last night, which was a fun game. It was an incredible game, very exciting. The arena was jumping, but the ending was sad for many Lightning fans as they go down 3-0 to the Panthers. What's up, Corey? How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Yeah, the ending was all too familiar.
Yes, it was. Yeah, and I was going to say this. I love the way the Lightning pushed back last night and got the lead in that second period, and they were ferocious in the second period. That first 7, 8, 9 minutes, they absolutely dominated, and they flipped the ice and they took the lead. But within a moment's notice, it's in the back of your net again with a wide open. Who was that? I think it was Reinhart, wide open in the slot. And the defense cover's not good.
Yeah, well, it comes down to, it's a lot of bad luck there. Sorelli blocks his shot. You think it's going the other way. A couple of guys clear out of the zone because, they're still kind of in breakout mode. Puck doesn't go where it's supposed to go. They're able to keep it in the zone. And Reinhardt's able to get to an open spot that really shouldn't be there, but it's there because they thought the puck was being cleared out. So it's, that makes it 2-2. Really the big thing is, Bob Ross made a big save. I think that's on Lilleberg. Made a couple other just huge saves down there. Because there were some good chances to go up 3-1, and they really were. Overall, if you look at this thing, I have very few qualms with the way the Lightning have played. I mean, I think they could have been a little more aggressive in game 1. But again, that was a, power play goal in the third period. Obviously, I thought, game 2, I thought they played, they had a horrible first period, but the second period was easily their best period of this, of this playoff so far. They had a 4-minute power play, didn't get the job done in the third period. Once you get into overtime, you see how poorly they played in overtime. You had a feeling, and it's the same thing. I mean, I look at it, I'm like, they're throwing everything they can at this team. They're trying everything possible. They're using all of the tools that they've got, and it's just there's just certain things when a team is they're just a step quicker, they're a little more athletic. It's just hard to you can't counter that with so much. I got friends of mine that coach this, coach that. I'm like, you can't. There's no way you can coach the fact that they're just not as fast.
Exactly.
Like you just can't make up for. Like when they get breakouts, the Panthers can recover on them. Like very few teams can recover on them, and it's not just the slower skaters. It's their regular guys that we're used to, seeing those guys skate. They're just the Panthers are right there on them, man. It's tough, and they've clearly taken 86-21 out of their games again. This is the second straight playoff where really 86-21 have been a non-factor, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
But it's like the guys are trying hard. Like you're gonna say Steven Stamkos isn't trying hard? The guy the guy plays goaltender in the final 90 seconds. They're so desperate to get back. Like these guys are working as hard as they can. And I guess that's the toughest thing is that you're down 3-0, and you realize the guys they're trying their asses off, and they just don't have it. They just can't figure. This they look every time like they can't figure it out. These guys, and maybe that's the way. That's the way it is. That's why we didn't want this series. Let's be honest. We wanted Boston for this reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the one thing I would say, if I have to take the Bolts to task, it's the power play. You mentioned the 4-minute power play. Game 2, that could have been a game changer right there. You got to score right there. Last night they're 0 for 4, for God's sakes, and it was ugly. It's ugly. It's not even a good 0 for 4. It's ugly.
You get 3 in the first period, and that's and normally for teams that would give this team 3 power plays in the first period, that's a death sentence.
Yes,
and they've got nothing off of it. I don't even know if they really got any really good looks last night off the power play. It's just
I don't remember any.
Yeah, I mean the Panthers are successfully sort of jumped the triangle that they like to play. That outside triangle they like to do with their passing. They've successfully kind of jumped that. The Sorelli goal, which got taken away, it was a different look. It was a different play. They changed some things, and that was actually kind of refreshing to see. But it's not a comfort. It's not a comfortable area for them. They like playing that triangle. They like keeping that puck on the outside. They take away. They got to work. Every time that Stamkos has been able to lay into that one timer, it's either scored or it's sprang off the post. Or I think Bob Roski made one really good save on one. So when they get it, but it just hadn't happened enough. And I think they're, I'm trying to think, they're like 2 for 12 or something on power plays. It's not. You were wondering how many power plays they've gotten, and in essence, they've averaged about 4 a game, and they haven't scored on them. So they're not. It's not from getting them; they just ain't scoring on them. So.
And Corey, John Romano wrote a column this morning, basically saying the Lightning's window is closed; it's over. I'm not going to go that far, but I do think there needs to be, and probably this discussion is for next week because there's still a game. There's still, but if we're being honest, and I work for the team, 3-0, no. There's nothing that tells you that they're going to flip this series. If that goes Toronto, I'd say yes. Last year, I thought they were the better team and they lost games in overtime. This has not been the case. The Panthers are clearly the better team. Unless Bobrovsky goes down and 3 more defenders, they're not coming back in this series. I hate to say it, but it's just, I think that's fact. So you got to look like what fixes are available for this team. The Stamkos contract is obviously going to be the biggest part of it. So there's a lot for Julian to do. What do you see as kind of the substandard things? What do they need to be better at?
I just think that so many years of trading away, where if you look at what this team has done to extend this window as long as they have, it's often come at the expense of draft capital.
Right.
And this team drafts pretty well. That's the thing. When you look at the young guys that have come in, a lot of these guys, they weren't first round picks.
Right.
Like they draft well. So when you give up 5 second-round picks for Tanner Janot, who's help him, when he's out there at times he's fine, but generally that's not been a good trade for them.
No.
And you think about the guys that they've taken, are you going to get another Kucherov in the second round? Probably not.
Probably not.
You look at probably not, but They drafted Alex Killorn in the 3rd round. Could you possibly get that guy if you're picking the top? Another player like that in the top 75? Sure. Braden Point was a 3rd round pick. So it's not a situation where of those 5 draft picks, 2 of those guys could probably end up really being something for you if you're scouting, and it's like you've given up a 1st round pick here and there. It's not that they haven't. For the most part, these trades haven't worked. They have. Brandon Hagel, we could easily say is probably worth a 1st round pick.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's not to say they haven't worked, but it's to say that you lost that. You sacrificed that long-term depth. They don't have a lot of forwards in the organization. I think they're okay with defensive, but they don't have a next wave of young guys coming in like they did when they had Braden Point, when they had Anthony Cirelli come in,
and Verhaeghe and Marchessault.
Yeah. Verhaeghe was a trade that they made. It was a goalie they got rid of. And Verhaeghe was the best player in the AHL, and that was a situation where again they couldn't get him on their top lines were so established, you just couldn't get there. And Marchessault was a guy that in the same situation, the top lines are so established, couldn't get there. I mean, you can go all the way. I guess you can go all the way back to them drafting Jonathan Drouin instead of Seth Jones. Maybe that changes something, but that's probably maybe changes the title back, 3-4 years ago or something. But, so it's, here's where Romano and I would agree and disagree. Does the window close? It depends. Yeah, if you're playing the Panthers every year, windows close right now. If you can avoid some of these teams, it's fine. And when I looked at this team and going into playoffs, it was like, who is the one team you want to avoid? Florida.
Exactly.
Like at least for the first round, no Florida. Second round, maybe things change, but and you see why, because Florida's, they've got a lot of depth. I mean,
yeah, they do.
Like really,
4 lines are tough.
And the thing is, they're bringing it different. Kyle Okaposo hadn't played since a playoff game since 2016. Yeah. Steven Lorenz was not part of their plan in February, but they've got like 4 or 5 guys, 5, 6 guys in that back line that kind of come in. He could, Paul Morris can rotate them and do things, and and they all seem to work together because they are what teams felt like when they played the Lightning, when the Lightning were at their peak.
Exactly.
They're, it's like, what do we do with this team? There were some very good Boston teams that the Lightning took out in 5 damn games, 5 mostly uncompetitive games. Like, you think about that. Those Boston teams were very good in the late 2010s. The Lightning dumped them in 5 games. They treated them like they had no time for them, and you just so it's a situation where of all the straws you're going to draw, you just drew the wrong one. So now they're going to have to re-sign Stamkos. You don't just throw 40 goal scorers out on the street.
No, you got to re-sign them. You got to re-sign them.
And to do that, they're going to have to make a move. Somebody on this roster is going to have to get dealt. They're going to have to free up that money. So, so changes are going to come whether you want them or not. I think that they're doing the best they can with certain quick fixes. Some of them work out. I think Luke Lindenning's worked out. I think Tyler Mott's worked out. These are a hell of a strong pick.
That was an upgrade.
Yeah, picks of the PK. I think the trade for Duclair, that gave a team a great boost of energy that they needed down the stretch to get in the playoffs. So I think they're always going to work. Julian's a mad scientist. He realizes that your window. I mean, it's hard to say your window is closed when you got potentially the league MVP on your roster.
I agree, and still the best goalie in the game in Vasilevsky. Yeah.
Yeah, another guy that scored 96 goals over the past 2 seasons. You got Vasilevsky still really in his prime years. Brandon Hagel is a 25, 30 goal scorer. Sergachev is coming back. They don't have Miguel Sergachev on this team right now. People don't remember that. So the window isn't closed. The window just needs to avoid the Florida Panthers.
I agree, 100%.
Look. If you look at the Lightning season, and JP, we talked about it early in the year. They started relatively slow. All right, Vasti started really slow coming back from injury.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have a down year, right? And things just aren't clicking due to whatever circumstances. And now you run into the Florida Panthers in the playoffs. Look, sometimes it's just not your year, and that's okay. That doesn't mean your window's closing. It just means maybe next year, right? I mean, we talk about it all the time, and that's okay.
Absolutely. More than anything, I say this. In 2022, the Lightning swept the Florida Panthers. It was an extremely tight series with the exception of, I think, Game 3. It was a bit of the Lightning kind of really controlled that game. And Game 4, Vasilevsky stole. I think he had 49 saves. Those teams were very tight. Florida really might have been, in terms of on paper, a little better. They didn't have the guile. They didn't have the mettle. They didn't really understand how to pull those games out of your ass like the Lightning did at that point. And they learned from that. Mm-hmm. And they went on that run last year, coming out of the second wild card. They rallied against Boston. They just blitzed Toronto, blitzed Carolina. They got the confidence. Didn't get past Vegas, but they know now. They ran to this series. Yeah. They wanted this team. They felt like they had to, as George Richards told me, they felt like they had to slay the dragon in order to really justifiably win a Stanley Cup. So they knew what they felt. They understood the task at hand. They've been through the disappointment. They learned from it. And I at times you just tip your hat. I tip my hat to Paul Morris, who's a hell of a coach, a hell of a guy to talk to. Those guys are good. That team is a good professional hockey team. It's not, you don't see a lot of cheap junk from them. They go out there, they play hard. They play hard, they play together, they're doing the right thing. Sometimes you just get beat. Right. All right, that's it. There's no official, there's no this, there's sometimes you just get beat by a better team. So I tip my hat to Florida. They have fun here. They have shown a tremendous amount of professionalism on the ice and the way that they play, the way that they handle business. Good for them.
Corey Long joining us here, covering the Bolts, but also the Buccaneers. And I thought the draft went their way last night. They needed interior line. They got the best center in the draft by most. He and Jackson Powers Johnson were certainly the two top guys. I think it's the best way to improve this team because the center position has been so poor. What are your thoughts on the draft pick and how the draft went for them?
I think the draft could not have gone any better when you looked at and I felt like I don't know if I might have talked with somebody else, but I felt like they were gonna, there were gonna be so many quarterbacks, such a rush for quarterbacks that the players they really wanted were gonna fall.
Exactly.
And they were gonna get into a spot where they're gonna land. And it came down to what are you gonna get? The interior guy on the offensive line or a pass rusher. And what happened was the pass rushers dropped. There happened to be a run on pass rushers right before they picked, but that left Barton right there for him. And that's so as the night goes on, as you start to see teams just jumping up to grab quarterbacks right and left, the Falcons decided they're going to run a 2-quarterback set this year, and so I don't know that. I'm happy for Michael Penix. What a great kid! I love that story. And I think he'll be fine. I think he's the type of young man that will embrace, trying to learn for the next 2 years from Kirk Cousins. I don't know what Kirk Cousins is thinking. I'm sure he's like, what that? Like, really? All the things he could have did here. But yeah. So anyway, enough of that. But yeah, so as these quarterbacks start going and, is like, okay, well, there's going to be either a very good pass rusher or the guy that we wanted center that's going to be there. I think they got the guy that they wanted. And that's when you're sitting where they were, the back end of the first round, right. It's often hard to get the guy that you want, and they got the guy that they want.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said in my open, and he fits the culture here, and it leaves the rest of the draft open for you because we both thought, or at least I did, that they were going to have to use one of those 3rd-round picks to jump up and get either the edge rusher or the interior lineman that they wanted to. So now here they sit with a 2 and 2 3s in a very rich draft. And so not only did you get your guy, but you're set up for the next 2 days to get even better with some pretty good players here. So, and as you know, there's some really good ones left on the board for them. Where do you think they go now?
Now I think, as you said, the board opens up. I think you can look to continue to fortify your interior line. They are going to go after a pass rush. They're going to try to. They're going to have to do something with their edge situation. But I mean, I'm sure an off-ball linebacker, someone, a prospect there, someone they're going to be looking at, on the second day, let's see if they can find somebody with one of those third-round picks that can sit there and learn for a year, play special teams, and do things. They've got a lot of. This is the thing. Once you feel confident in the quarterback situation, there's so many more possibilities with the draft.
Right.
Because teams are so desperate to get that one player. And we saw it this J.J. McCarthy went number 10. I love watching Michigan last year. I might be one of the few people on earth who enjoyed the fact that they had no respect for Penn State. They ran the ball 31 straight times. But you went 10, man. He averaged about like $135 passing a game. He went 10.
And he's a play action quarterback, which fits exactly what Washington wants to do. But here's the thing. Every team that played Michigan had to commit 12 people to the run game. I could play action quarterback for freaking Michigan. Are you kidding me? I drop back and I fake a handoff and I look up. 5 guys are wide open, and now I got to hit one of them. I mean, I'm overhyping this. I'm overhyping this a little bit, but yes, does the kid? He looks good in a uniform. He can throw. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think he's a perfectly good player, but you look at man. I mean, they were facing 9-man boxes. We'll run Blake Corum anyway and see what happens.
And they still get 6 yards. Oh, what do we do it again?
What are we doing here?
Right.
Yeah, but so I think they can go. I do think they're going to try to fortify the interior line a little bit. I think they are going to. I don't think they're done there yet. I think they realize that they've got to. They've got to get some. They've got to get another depth. At least some more competition in that area. So, and definitely an edge rusher, and definitely an off-ball linebacker. I think today if they can find a pass rusher that they like and an off-ball linebacker that they like, I think they'll be very happy.
And I think there might be some corners out there too that can help them as well.
Always looking for corners. Can't have enough of those guys in this.
Todd Bowles is like, okay, now it's my turn. I need to get a couple defensive picks out of these top ones. So, all right. Well, I did a nice job of laughing at the Falcons and banging on them. And I, like you, love Michael Penix. I think he's the second best quarterback in this draft behind Jaden Daniels. And I think in 2 years, 3 years, but it will probably be the time he actually plays if Cousins stays healthy. He'll be 75 years old and be ready to go and ready to play. But why would you sign Kirk Cousins? That's my point. Why would you spend $100 million guaranteed over 2 years? Think of the players you could have signed in free agency with that money, right? You could have had Justin Fields for nothing. And so here you sit with 2 quarterbacks. You spent $100 million in cap money that could have gone to other players, and you haven't made this team any better on defense. And they were not very good. They were the worst pass rushing team in the league. And go ahead, take your swings at the Falcons, because that was just idiocy, in my opinion. Your thoughts?
I'm still, I'm still one of those things I was shocked by. I'm sitting next to Christy Ackert from the Tampa Bay Times, and we're downstairs in the media room, and she goes, "The Falcons select Michael Penix," and she's obviously got very good information. It took me a good 60 seconds to turn around, like, what? What did you say?
What?
It's like, Falcons? Did they make a trade? Did they trade Kirk? What happened there? So, because I'm thinking, all right, they're going to think, maybe Jared Verse going to go in the top 10, maybe, I think Dallas Turner, there's plenty of guys. There's a guy from UCLA that has that fun, cool name that should be part of the bloodline or something. They got all kinds of guys. So, but I don't know. They really want to be good on offenses, but I guess they really, it's like an arena ball team, I guess. They were going we're going old Dan Coryell, Sandy. I don't know what he's going to do. I feel like Raheem didn't have a lot of say in this one. I feel like we're heaving to have a real voice in this room right now.
No, he didn't. At the press conference, I don't think he said a word. Did he, Tim?
No. He was suspiciously quiet.
Now we know why they didn't hire Bill Belichick. Like, them front office guys are like, hey, if he comes in, we might have a job. So now we know why Bill Belichick did not get that Atlanta Falcons job.
Well, I don't know if he would have drafted any better, but he certainly wouldn't have taken another quarterback. And I don't.
If they would have suggested a quarterback, Bill would have ripped the paper out of Roger Goodell's hands and just shouted a name. Just shouted anybody. Yeah. He probably drafted Graham Barton. Who knows?
You imagine Terry Fontenot going to Bill Belichick in that situation, go, hey, coach, we're going to go with Michael Penix here.
Bill's just like, look, no, you're not.
No, Bill Belichick would have been his own celebrity announcer, right? To go up, how they had the guys come out and make the picks for the teams. He would have just been his own guy, and he just made whatever pick he wanted.
Yeah. He's gonna look at the paper and be like, nah, we're not taking him.
The pick is in. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Do over.
Anything else in the draft catch your eye? The Giants not taking a quarterback, I think, is also equally as stupid.
Yeah, I mean, they really want to go all on that Daniel Jones experiment, I guess. Looking at it, I think there was a lot of it was funny to tell all the smoke screens. It was the biggest smoke screen, I think, was this idea that Marvin Harrison Jr. was not going to be the first wide receiver taken off the board. I'm like, okay, somebody do that at your own peril. But the Cardinals are smart enough to do that. And really, at the end of the day, for all of the this and the that, most of the first 5 picks went as you would expect. Other than, you didn't know where the Chargers were going to go, but you felt like they were going to win an offensive lineman, and they went with the one that they thought was the best. I'm curious, I guess, to see how Drake May works out in New England. As I was telling somebody, the ACC just has not produced great quarterbacks. Like, they just haven't.
Yeah.
Even Trevor Lawrence, who was supposed to be the can't miss of can't misses, is he's an above average quarterback. But
is he?
He's I guess. I look at it like this. I guess if you had to start a franchise and Trevor Lawrence was your only option, you wouldn't be disappointed.
Sure. Yeah.
But you compare the other one, like Kenny Pickett, who was, I remember telling Steeler fans, like, if the first quarterback off the board is in nobody's top 10, don't draft him before the 3rd round, period. Like, he ain't no good.
Right.
And, this guy, all the other Carolina quarterbacks that haven't worked out, Mitch Trubisky, I think Sam Howell was decent. He threw for 4,000 yards last year on a team with no offensive line. I think Sam Howell can maybe go somewhere and be all right.
Yeah.
But, this haven't. I guess Deshaun was okay until he wasn't okay anymore. And, Jameis is always will have a spot in the league. He's figured out how to make that good clipboard money. So, but that conference, it's not where I go for quarterbacks right now. I'm sorry. Yeah. And it was Drake May, he's got ball placement issues, and that tells me he's got questionable accuracy. And in the NFL, bad accuracy just doesn't work out.
No, that does not. All right, Corey, great stuff as always, my friend. We will we'll chat with you down the line. We'll see where this series goes. Game 4 coming up on Saturday, 5:00. I'll see you at the arena, my friend. Thank you, buddy.
Sounds great. You take care. Bye-bye.
The thing that really is incredible about this is, like, Terry Fontenot makes a lot of money. He makes a lot of money. Who's the GM of the Giants now? I forget his name. Whatever.
Showing whatever his name is. The old assistant GM in Buffalo. Yeah. You
don't have a quarterback. Like, you literally did. Anybody who thinks Daniel Jones, you overdrafted him in the first place.
Yeah. He
proved you wrong. He's never thrown more than 15 touchdowns once. He did come in and beat the Bucs one time, but that was about, he hasn't shown anything, and he's fragile, very fragile.
Yeah, he's been hurt. I think that's the problem with him. Yeah, but that's kind of the team's fault, though.
Right. Well, and you don't, as Who was it? Tannenbaum said, you don't suddenly become a durable player when you're injury riddled in your first 4 years,
Yeah.
You just don't. And so you sitting here, you draft a quarterback, you draft a great receiver, and you have no quarterback. I don't.
Well, that just tells you that they're believing in Daniel Jones. Yeah, I mean they and when you look at the coach Dayball, he's kind of a quarterback guy, right? So you would think
he would know.
That's the only pause I have in all of this is that Dayball's supposed to be a great quarterback coach, and like if he's a believer in Daniel Jones, well then maybe the rest of us should be. But at some point, you got to see something, right?
Right. In 4 years, it just that seems to be enough time. And then just like, I don't know about you, but that last press conference, did you see that Daniel Jones did?
Yeah.
Where he's, if you're listening on the podcast, my eyes are wide open. Like, what are you on, bro? Like that was weird. And even his answers are like when if you can't come to a press conference and be an alpha and just, do you have the demeanor to be a quarterback? What guy on that team would watch a press conference like that and just be like, oh, that's my guy. That's my guy. I mean, it's just weird.
Yeah. And when you think about it, like every quarterback gets to a point, when you're at a franchise, and especially when you come in as a rookie, you're expected to be the guy, and you haven't been the guy after 3, 4, 5 years. That wears on you, man. And you eventually get to a point. Okay, here's a perfect example. Every quarterback in Cleveland since 1999.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes I think these guys need a change of scenery. I think Daniel Jones will be a fine, serviceable quarterback. It won't be in New York. Just like I thought Baker Mayfield would be a fine, serviceable quarterback, not in Cleveland. I mean, I kind of thought the same thing about Trubisky, but that hadn't worked out for me yet.
Yeah. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Dave Randorf's going to join us. He's on his way to Amalie Arena. I think he's already there for today's availabilities, but he'll take a couple minutes to chat with us about the Tampa Bay Lightning. Quick break. Back in 3 with Dave Randorf, Valley Sports Lightning announcer. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
It's Diamond Days at the Gold and Diamond Source because April's birthstone is diamonds. As they take center stage, get up to 20% off all diamond jewelry. And our first-time buyers program will help you get educated about the 4 C's and all the different shapes and styles. And remember, you only want natural diamonds, folks. It takes billions of years to form a natural diamond. You don't want something that was made in a factory just a couple of weeks ago. And remember, your Gold and Diamond Source diamond never loses its value. You can always trade up at the Gold and Diamond Source for a bigger, better one. And they will spend the time to educate you about your diamonds and how to take care of them. And of course, consider the Gold and Diamond Source to maintain and insure your jewelry. They can professionally clean it, check the settings, and make any necessary repairs to keep your jewelry in top condition. It's the 40th anniversary of the Gold and Diamond Source, 3800 Omerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Extravaganza Productions, the best in the business. Worked with them many, many times in some huge events. And if you have a charity event coming up or even a smaller birthday party, but you want the pros in the audio-visual area to handle it for you, it's extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you. They'll give you a free creative meeting, give you a whole tour of the warehouse there with all their props, extravaganzaproductions.com. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Dave Randorf, the voice of your Tampa Bay Lightning for Valley Sports. And Dave, I'm so glad I'm able to watch you guys call these games, you and Brian, because you guys do a hell of a job. Watching game 2 was just artistry. You guys, the game itself, it was fantastic. It's the best of sports to me. So thank you for your work. How you doing?
Thanks, JP. That's great. I happen to agree that I've got an awesome partner to work with Brian. That's for sure. Really,
we share him.
Yep, he's very good at what he does for sure. So I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, well, the Lightning aren't doing so great. They're in a bad spot. The first 3 games obviously been extremely competitive. What do you see as the difference in this series so far?
Little things at key times. You know, I've been thinking about this since I got up this morning. You know, you look at these 3 games, and last night's 5-3 with an empty net. So maybe essentially you could call it another 1-goal game almost. Yeah, so if you look at everything overall, there's a lot of stats that are very close. The shots aren't that lopsided. Certainly weren't last night. Both teams are hitting. Both teams are blocking shots. Both teams are, face-off battle is not lopsided one way or the other. There's a lot of things that are even about it. What isn't even is the depth and the poise and the execution that Florida is showing that the Lightning have not been able to match. Playing with the lead is a huge difference to any team in the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Lightning had not played the lead until last night. They talked about, we just got to get one. We got to get an early goal here and start playing with a lead. And they didn't get the early lead. Florida scored first again, but then they get a lead in that second period in what was probably, their best 8 to 9 minute stretch of the series. And really the only time that I have felt that the Lightning have really gotten to their game and started imposing their will for an extended period of time. So they get a lead, and that lead lasts 7 minutes, 7 minutes. And Florida, gets back off the ropes and punches back with 2 guys who are relied upon to make shots in Sam Reinhart again, and Montour, who's got their best shots from the point. But the underlying part of those 2 goals in particular, and this speaks to the depth part, is those 2 goals that they get late, the third one and the fourth one, which ends up being the game winner, are from the fourth line.
Yeah,
and that's where the Lightning used to kill you in the playoffs with their their 3 to 4 lines rolling and getting contributions from everybody. And look at the fourth line for Florida. The fourth line last night had a guy on Steve Lawrence who played less than half the games this season for Florida, gets in because Ryan Lomberg is sick. And Kyle Opozo is in because Sam Bennett, a second-line center, is out. And he comes in. Yes, he's a veteran, but he hadn't played a playoff game since 2016. They throw these guys together. They're experienced vets, guys who have been there, done that a little bit. Certainly Opozo is. Yeah. And they create the goal by Montour, and they get the goal. Lawrence gets the goal that ends up being the fourth one, which was the game winner. So, that kind of tells you all you need to know right now about their depth and what they are, how they are using that as a real weapon, and their poise. I mean, clearly this is a team that has rolled with any punches the Lightning have been able to throw, and there's no panic in this team. The Lightning can barely maintain zone time because they don't mess around and waste time in getting it out. They're not afraid of icings. They're not afraid of going away from their system. They're controlling things. Defensively, this is a team that was tied for the fewest goals against in the NHL this season with Winnipeg. Ironically, Paul Maurice's old team. They allow very few shots on net, third in the league in shots on net, and their penalty kill is absolutely stymieing the biggest weapon the Lightning have, which is their power play.
And that was my next question. Leads me right to it, you professional broadcaster, you. 0 for 4 last night, did not score in the 4 minute in game 2. That to me are the two critical parts of this series, because this was going to be a winning edge for the Lightning. They had to do it. And the execution of this, everybody knows what the Lightning want to do, but to execute against it is next to impossible. We've seen that all during the regular season. The Panthers have figured it out, and they have been executing not only in the PK, but everything they do to perfection. But why is that? Just better players, better preparation, better coaching, and Kucherov looks completely lost, which is surprising.
Well, yeah, I certainly execution and it's the system. They were the number one penalty killing team on the road this season. Overall, they're the second best road team.
There you go.
So, they know what they're doing. They're not afraid. They're the most penalized team in the NHL, and yet they've got the number one penalty kill on the road, and we're seeing that. So they're I'm sure Paul Maurice would like to see them take fewer penalties. Certainly, last night it was very lopsided in the favor of the Lightning, but they got the kills they needed. And what that does with every power play that is not only unable to score, but unable to even set up or look dangerous, the frustration builds with your top players, particularly Kucherov. Kucherov had a spectacular season, a season for the ages, and he has not been able to carry that through. And I think it's frustrating. We all know that Kucherov wears his heart on his sleeve. He's a prisoner of his own perfection. And when he's perfect, he's spectacular. And when he is unable to create, and when there's two, maybe three guys on him immediately as he enters the zone, that frustration starts to build, and it throws his game off. And that's what's ultimately happened in my mind to this point for him. He hasn't played poorly. He's got 3 points, but he certainly has not had a signature game or moment yet. And the Panthers have done everything to shut that down. It's pretty easy. You look at the Lightning roster and you go, 144 points from Kucherov, 46 goals from Braden Point. Let's focus on those two guys and take our chance with the rest. And the other thing too, is goaltending. Both goalies have been spectacular, but Sergei Bobrovsky has made. He hasn't been as busy as Vasilevsky, but he's made the big save at the big time. And we all know, we are all too well aware of how disheartening that can be for the opposition, having watched Vasilevsky do that.
Right.
Teams over and over and over again. And right now, that's what Bobrovsky's doing.
Dave Randolph joining us here. Bally Sports covers the Lightning, obviously. And so it's 3-0. The numbers tell us it's nearly impossible to come back. Our eyes tell us this Florida team doesn't look like they have many holes to get through. So where do the Lightning do with this? Coach said last night, only believers show up. So we got to Ted Lasso this thing where you got to believe, but it's hard. It's hard. But the only thing I can say is these games have been close. A post here and a post there, things go your way. And, as we know in hockey, things can flip pretty quickly. So it's not like the Lightning are getting blown out here. They've all been essentially 1-goal games. So
exactly.
If and you said it, Kucherov and Point are the team, but there's some other players on this team that are pretty damn good, and Hagel and Cirelli, and there's a group of guys here that can get things done. And Nick Paul, those guys got to step up, right? They've got some open ice, they've got to deliver, and Bobrovsky maybe needs to come back to not being Superman for the entire team. That this can happen, right?
Yeah, it could. I mean, you can't worry about what could possibly happen with Florida. They look like they're organized. It's a team that won 52 games. They're executing. They're poised. They look comfortable. They went to the final last year, and they've taken all that experience, and it's on display for us in the first 2 games. So let's just leave that where it is. The Lightning, all those guys you mentioned, yes, and yes. The problem becomes, again, just simply a matter of depth. Victor Hedman played almost 27 minutes again last night. I think Steven Stamkos is playing his guts out, if you ask me. He is. There's been nobody hotter down the stretch in terms of scoring goals. He's got a goal in every game. He's blocking shots. Did you see him play goalie last night?
Yes, he did. Very well.
He did. It was, he's and my wife said on the way home, she says, I don't know, that could have been risky. He could have gotten hurt. Yes, he could have gotten hurt, but That's don't think about that in the playoffs. And he had 6 hits. He started one of their great shifts in the second period with a huge hit on Ekblad in the corner. He's playing his guts out, and they just have to, you just have to, this is a proud group. The core is still there. It's a very proud core, and they're going to put their best foot forward on Saturday. And all those things that you mentioned certainly it's a daunting task ahead. But you just take it one period at a time, one game at a time. I know that's the cliche of all cliches. And I will say this, and I mean this. I really do mean this. I hope fans, nobody's happy. No Lightning fan is happy this morning. But as to your point, they're not getting blown out. It's not like they've pulled a no-show. They've played hard. They're just getting beat at key moments. And I hope fans show up on Saturday night and push this team forward in what could be their last home game on Saturday late afternoon, because this team deserves it. This is a group that went on a stretch in March that I honestly didn't think they had in them. Based on what we'd seen in the first half of the season, all the change in the roster, this is a team that started the season with 12 different players in the opening night roster from the year before due to losing guys and injuries, including both goalies weren't there. They've had 8 rookies this season. They played most of the season without Mikhail Sergachev. Yet, you've seen a magical year from Kucherov. You've seen another great year from Stamkos and Point. This team deserves to be supported right to the bitter end, because I believe they will fight right to the bitter end. I don't know what's going to happen on Saturday. Are they going to push this back to Game 5? I don't see them getting swept, to tell you the truth. I still don't believe they'll get swept. But I just hope that the Lightning fans remember all that this team has given us in the last 10 years in playoff battles, and they're going to battle on Saturday as well.
Hey, Dave, before you go, real quick, last night John Cooper gave a tremendous tribute to Bob Cole, longtime voice of Canadian hockey and Hockey Night in Canada. I'm sure you'd probably like to echo some of that, and I'll give you the floor for that as well.
Well, I just get goosebumps even just when you bring it up. Bob, I know it's been said, and for those who don't know, he for 50 years, he was the voice of hockey from coast to coast in Canada. On a show called Hockey Night in Canada, Saturday nights, it's been a tradition for decades. I had the privilege of being a play-by-play broadcaster on Hockey Night in Canada for 6 years before I came here to Tampa.
Right.
And I was, for a short time, on the same roster as Bob Cole. And to me, that alone was just mind-blowing. I grew up listening to Bob Cole. When we played road hockey or ball hockey in the basement as kids, one of us was Bob Cole calling the game as we were playing. And he just had a voice that was unmatched, a sense of moment and rising to the occasion that was so consistently amazing. Not easy to do. All of us play-by-play guys want to be right on when the moment arrives, but he was always there and always sent chills down your spine. His voice is attached to so many iconic moments, and will forever be remembered as an icon in Canada.
Yes.
Hockey, Canada is hockey, and Bob Cole was hockey in Canada, and that's been said, and that is so true. And one thing I'll tell you about is my paths didn't cross with Bob that often because we did the same thing. But I remember one weekend we were both coming home from games on a Saturday night recently, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe more than that now, and I bumped into him in the airport. And I went right up to him and shook his hands. I met him a few times, obviously, at this point. And he goes, I started to, I never assume. I just introduced myself. He goes, of course, Dave. Yes. I just said, Bob, listen. And this was his last year. We all knew this was his last season. And I just said, Bob, I just want to say, I know that everybody says this to you, but I want to have the chance to say thank you for everything. You've meant so much to me as a professional broadcaster, but just as a fan of the game, thank you. And he looked at me and he didn't say much. He was a man of few words when it came to moments like this. And he gave me a punch in the shoulder and said, baby boy, you just keep doing the great job you're doing. And I walked away just floored. And I talked to other people after that and told other guys who work with him more than I did directly. And they said that was a geyser of a compliment from Bob Cole. He said, if he said that to you, he meant it. And he watches and he respects you. And I'll cherish that moment forever.
Awesome.
Dude, that gives me chills right here.
Yeah, me
Dave.
too.
And may I say, Dave, you do a fantastic job. You really, really do. I love the emotion that you bring to the game. Everything you said about Bob, I feel a lot about you. You really bring a lot of emotion to the game, which to me is what great play-by-play guys do. They add to the game. They don't take away. I know there's this feeling towards, minimalism with some guys. To hell with that. I want to feel the emotion of the game. and I think you do it as good as anybody in the business, and I appreciate it. And that's why I was sitting there watching the game game 2, and the game itself was amazing. But the life that you brought to it, you and Brian, and the analysis that Brian brings, I'm just sitting there going, this is great TV. This is great sport. This is great TV. This is why we love the game. And it was just your whole group at Bally's did such a fantastic job in capturing the moment of what we were watching, because we knew it was something special. 2 goalies, the best in the world, playing at their absolute peak, 2 teams going at it as much as they possibly can. You guys brought it home. You brought it home, and I really appreciate it. It was great stuff. Great stuff. You guys should win an Emmy for that. It was fantastic.
That's very kind. Thank you. And I appreciate it. I love this role and this team and being a part of this, the Tampa Bay Lightning hockey. And I appreciate everything from the fans and you. Thank you. That's very nice of you. Thanks.
Well, baby boy, keep doing what you're doing.
All right. And so we'll see you on Saturday, right? 5 o'clock. Don't be late. 5 o'clock.
Right. That's right. Get there early, people. Get there early. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate your time, buddy. Thank you so much.
All right,
Dave Randolph, Valley Sports, right there, and that's
one of the good guys right there.
Yeah, he's great. He's great. I mean, he really is. Like I said, you can have your Joe Bucks. No, thank you.
Sure.
Give me the guy that's the requisite. And you got some other guys like Gus, who's good at times, but sometimes so over the top that it becomes ridiculous, right? And but to hit that note perfectly is not an easy job. And it takes great instinct. It's a talent. It is an absolute talent. And I think Dave has it, and he really, really does.
Guys that can do hockey well, man, just are beyond me. Yeah, I've done some play-by-play, right? I've done football, I've done baseball, but dude, hockey to me,
forget it.
I don't. There's no way I could do that.
I mean, I've done a lot of stuff in television, and I feel like I can do just about anything. I could do any sport. Just give me some time to prep, and I can do it. But I would never even attempt to do hockey play-by-play. Wouldn't even. I'd say no, thank you. No. I'm not going to make a complete ass out of myself. It is a unique talent. You need to grow up with the game. You need to know the game. You need to know the game and the players by their body language.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't. If you're sitting there trying to read numbers, you got no shot. The game moves too fast. And you got to know by their body language, and that it takes a lot of time to get it right. And the great ones like Bob Cole and Dave, they're really good. Yeah. And we had Rick Peckham for a long, long time, a Hall of Famer, another one that was just absolutely perfect for the moment. It's really hard. And you think it's easy, but it's not, because when you hear the bad ones, it sticks out like a sore thumb, or the not great ones. I don't think there's any bad play-by-play hockey guys, because it's hard.
Yeah, but not in the NHL.
No, the great ones stand out. They stand out. And Bob Cole was that. Dave was that. Rick Peckham was that. Emmerich was that. I mean, there's a few of them that just stand out. And,
Gary Thorne,
who
he tried to kill off a couple weeks ago.
The late Gary Thorne.
Him and Bill Clement.
They're still alive, people.
Yes, they are.
They're still alive. All right, we'll take a break here. We'll come back and we'll hear from Graham Barton, and we'll hear from Jason Light on that pick, and we'll get into a couple other draft scenarios and what's coming up. Who's still on the board? Stay with us.
You're listening to The Strike. 102.5 WHPT HD2 Sarasota, Tampa, St. Pete.
Are you looking to be more productive and healthier? Do you know chronic dehydration affects your overall health and well-being? 75% of the U.S. population suffers from dehydration, and many of us don't even know it. That was me before I was introduced to Hydrate Heroes. 8 times the benefits with hydration. A beverage with benefits more than just hydration. That's right, 8 times the benefits with hydration. Hydrate Heroes provides a refreshing, great-tasting beverage powder to mix with water, providing elderberry, zinc, vitamin D, electrolytes, amla fruit, which provides a great source of vitamin C, along with a proprietary mushroom blend that has shown to help increase endurance and energy at the cellular level. Hydrate Heroes is so confident you're going to love the taste and the results. They are offering our listeners a special offer, a free 3-pack sample, no credit card needed, Just go to the jppetersonshow.com, the jppetersonshow.com, and click on Hydrate Heroes logo. Hydrate for health today with Hydrate Heroes.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. JP here for Extravaganza Productions. You know, I've worked with these pros on so many big and small events. They recently did the Kappa Alpha Psi Grand Reunion, the Tampa RV Show Exhibit. They did the Skills Center opening of Tampa Bay. They can do those small events. They do the biggest of events. So if you are thinking about planning a meeting or special event, call the talented staff at Team EPI. They will give you a free creative meeting if you mention the JP Peterson Show. They will provide you with an exceptional experience. Heck, they'll even show you their huge warehouse with great props. Anything you want. They'll do it on time and on budget. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com. Tell them JP sent you.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group. Scott Jeeves will be joining us next week to keep us up to date on the FSU ACC lawsuit, which continues to be a carnival in and of itself. Man, I just love watching some of the stuff on Twitter back and forth with all these legal experts and sniping at each other. It's kind of fun. But the Jeeves Law Group will get the job done. So, in fact, Scott was quoted in the Times the other day about the FSU lawsuit. So everybody knows he's the expert and he will fight for you. He really is a bulldog when it comes to defending you, and you'll want him on your side. He takes it personally against some of these insurance companies. So go to the JeevesLawGroup.com and you can contact them through there. Tell them you heard it on the show, please. And they will definitely take great care of you. You will not be a number when it comes to your case. You will be with some of these bigger law firms, the Jeeves Law Group. All right. So
I have a shout out to give real quick, if I could.
Well, you shout it right out then.
I got to give a shout out to NFL Network.
Okay.
For bringing back Good Morning Football for the draft. You aware of this?
What's going on? I'll tell you this. Well, I don't know if I can say it yet. I'll have to check with my thing. But Good Morning Football it's coming back.
So it's back now. It's on hiatus. It has been for a couple of weeks because they're moving the show from New York to Los Angeles. Right. The entire production part of it.
They're syndicating the show, by the way.
Yes. Jamie Erdahl is on maternity leave, like during this transition. So she's not here. My good friend and former colleague here at 105.3 The Fan in Dallas, Jane Slater, is now anchoring it for them. But they're just back for yesterday, today, and they'll be on the air tomorrow during the draft. All the normal guys, Kyle Brandt.
Schrager.
And Peter Schrager, right?
Love them.
And so I miss it without Jamie Erdahl, but I mean, you can't go wrong with Jane Slater, but it's been good to hear the guys back together, because when they went off the air and I heard they weren't coming back until August, I was like, what? Because that's my morning routine, man. I get up and I turn it on.
Yeah.
Way better than
nothing to watch
ESPN, for God's sakes.
I can't do Get Up. I'm sorry, I cannot do Get Up.
I only have it on
can't do
because
First
there's
Take.
nothing else. There, it just gives me a little perspective on national stuff.
Yeah.
To bring to the show here and kind of get a feeling for what they're talking about. And when Brady was here, they talked about the Bucs a lot. Now they never talk about anything Tampa Bay. So I don't even know why I watch it anymore. It's really I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, but it's so agenda driven. So the whole freaking network, and it has been this way for a long time, and it's sick. It sickens my stomach because it's part of the problem.
It's tough.
And so it is what it is. But I find myself watching, and Good Morning Football was my go-to. Absolutely. Especially during football season. So I'm happy that it's going to be back.
Because you know why I like it? Because I'm not into, as most people are or aren't, into straight news / stats shows, right? What we call here in the middle part of the country, we call it East Coast sports talk. No offense to Tampa. We don't consider Tampa part of the East Coast, right? I'm talking Philly, New York, Washington, Boston. Right.
Northeast is what you
Northeast sports talk, where these guys, they're strict, they're loud mouths, they're in your ear all the time, and they're spouting off stats and screw you, pal, and blah, blah, blah. Nobody likes to hear that unless you're from there.
Right.
And Good Morning Football, they play their little game shows, their little trivia shows. They have fun with segments. They have fun with each other.
Yes.
And it's a good break for me because that's what sports talk in Texas is, as it is in most of the country, in Tampa even. You just have fun with the sports. You do non-sports segments sometimes because people get sick of the other stuff.
Right.
And that's why I liked a TV show that was sort of centered around that, and I have a good time with it. I was sad to see it go off the air for a while, and I don't know if I could wait till August, but I'm getting a little shot in the arm with it here for the draft, and I think it's great.
Yeah, and Jason McCourty is great.
Yes,
and I love when Nate Burleson was on. Mm-hmm. Nate is a superstar, and really, and Schrager and I love Kay Adams, and I love me some Kay Adams.
Colleen Wolfe.
Yeah, I don't know what Kay's doing. I guess Kay, what is she doing now?
I don't know what Kay's doing.
She's got some show. I don't know, but I don't know why the hell she left the NFL Network. But I'm sure she's getting paid more money. Good for her. But I thought that quartet was just awesome. Sometimes you just get great chemistry with an ensemble cast like that, and they were just so good, and they were so casual too. That was it just set a tone of, hey, we're just going to talk some football here, and we're going to just be super casual about it and have some fun with it. Whereas it always feels like on every show ESPN is trying to shove their agenda down my throat, and no, thank you, not interested. So
apparently Kay Adams has her own YouTube show called Up and Adams.
That's what I'm saying. And she gets good guests, and I just it's just not on my radar anymore. It's kind of the way it is.
Yeah.
But anyway, but Tampa Bay will be getting an eye full of Good Morning Football. That's all I can say. That's all I can say at this point.
Wow, there you go. I think that's all you need to say.
And there'll be some changes coming to the landscape of Tampa Bay sports. Right now we're on 102.5. We're live every day from 10 to 12. So we're back on the radio, and hopefully more expansion coming here. So you'll have more options during the full day as we move through up into football season in August. Yeah. All right, so can we listen into let's do a little Graham Barton. Let's hear his voice, get you guys familiarized with him a little bit. He did a Zoom call last night, very poorly lit. Somebody get this guy a ring light. You know what? I'm glad he doesn't have a ring light. I don't want my offensive lineman taking naked selfies or shirtless selfies, and I don't want him with a ring light. So here's a poorly lit. Here's a poorly lit offensive lineman chatting with the local media.
Why are we on mute?
No, why are we on mute? Okay, I can't hear him.
No, me neither.
All right, you want to try Jason Light then?
Yeah, let's try. That's also going to be on. Why are these on mute?
Well, take them off mute.
What's happening, JP?
I don't know. Not on that end.
Won't let me unmute them. Either one of them.
Really? That's a first.
Like there's no sound with them.
Huh.
Well,
then I guess we ain't going to hear from him, are we? That's okay.
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't listen to him ahead of time, obviously, but we don't ever have that problem.
Yeah. That's from YouTube, the Buccaneers channel. So if you want to go check them out, the Buccaneers channel on YouTube has them. I can kind of summarize what Graham said. It's a lot of cliche in there, to be quite honest. What kind of struck me is just his demeanor. That's what I look for in what is this guy's demeanor like? What does he sound like? What is his edge? I've been doing interviews a long time, so I almost look more at the nonverbal than I do the actual verbal, because somebody, we want to fit in, love the organization, blah, 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 blah. But to me, he sounds like a super smart guy. He sounds like, it sounds like Tristan Wirfs. Like Jason Light said, he has the personality of a Tristan Wirfs, who, by the way, was at the Lightning game last night. I was sitting there watching the game in the second period when they were really surging, and it was like 8 minutes without a whistle. One of those. It was just great hockey, and I'm like, this is good stuff, isn't it? With no whistles, I know this is fantastic. You just don't see this anywhere. I said, you grew up playing hockey? He said, I grew up in Colorado, so he kind of played a little bit of hockey there. And if you could see that dude on skates, as athletic as he is, 6'5", 350 pounds, as athletic as he is on skates, I'm like, wow, bet you were a hell of a defenseman. But said I loved the game of hockey, but just got too big to play and realized that football was going to be. But he's a big Lightning fan, and really enjoyed the game last night. So hats off to Tristan Wirfs, who now has a blocking mate that I think, and as much, and I'm sure he loves Rob Hainsey, and their boys and offensive linemen are like that. But he also watches the tape, and he knows that Robert Hainsey just is not big enough, not strong enough, not good enough to be an above average player in the NFL. And now they got somebody who is in the middle of that line that's going to make a tremendous difference for them. And I think people are going to be surprised how, it's not, and then again, this is not all Rob Hainsey's fault. It's not his fault at all. They've been substandard at left guard and center and right guard. They had played a rookie last year in Cody Mauch, who had nice moments, but was wildly inconsistent. So you have an interior line that has been substandard for 3 years. And when you lost Ryan Jensen, the team was really, really good when Ryan Jensen was playing. And it wasn't good when Rob Hainsey was playing. It's just simple as that. And it's not all his fault again, but it's a big part of it. The center position in the NFL is huge. You make the calls. You're the tip of the spear. And if you can't move guys and you're constantly getting moved and getting thrown back into the backfield, everything breaks down. Everything breaks down. So to have a guy that can anchor like Graham Barton, who's a legit 315, 20 pounds, who is really, really athletic, and watching the tape, you'll see that. And he's a technician with his arm placement, his body placement. He seals guys. So often in the NFL, you see guys just trying to push him. This guy, you could see him, his footwork. And it's so, when you're an offensive lineman, footwork and technique can take you so far. And you just see him get that leverage, seal it off, his body lean, he gets under guys, and that's why he's such a good run blocker. And when you can get that at the point of attack, everything else works off that. And then when you don't get that at the point of the attack, it snowballs the other way. So that's why, to me, it's a hugely important position. And once he gets his feet under him as an NFL player, I think he can, this is a guy that can do it for 10, 12 years and anchor this line. And if something were to happen to Tristan Wirfs, God forbid, he can slide out to left tackle. And you go try and find a guy that can do that and block Jared Verse. Like you said, go turn on the FSU tape and watch him handle Jared Verse. He's impressive. His guy is really, really impressive. So I think, the Bucs did a great job getting him and having him fall to him, and not, I'm sure Jason Light was getting trigger happy because he wanted one of these guys, because he knows how important it is to have a great center in this league. And he probably was like being held back from, trying to jump up and get him, but they sat there and they waited, and the draft came to them and they got their guy. So it's a good thing.
He said they had him targeted from the get-go, and the fact that he was still there made all the difference in the world. So yeah, good for Jason Light and good for the Bucs, man. That's a great move.
Let's get to a couple quick comments here. Rick chiming in. We love you, Rick. JP didn't pay for Barton OnlyFans page. Is that why Rick, we didn't get? So what is it? If you don't pay for it, you don't get the audio. Is that? I don't know how that works. Rick,
what it is? Yeah,
you do.
Don't tell me where to get audio.
Stu throttling us. What's Stu doing now? I don't know. I have to check in. Stu hacked. What's this?
I don't know what they're talking about.
I have to look into that, guys. Give me some more information.
Social media or something.
Give me some more information. I just love what's happened this week is they paid for some poll in Florida politics, and to try and sway these commissioners who are being swayed the other way, because the real numbers are coming out now. We're finally getting shocking development. We're just weeks before the votes. We're finally getting the real numbers that they've been trying to hide from the people for months and months and months with all these one-on-one meetings that the mayor's been doing. So now they go out and pay for this poll, and it supposedly shows all this support for the St. Pete deal. And in the poll, they're asking people, would you like the Rays to stay? Like, it has nothing to do with the specific deal or the specific numbers, like this particular deal. Is it good for Pinellas? No, the question was, would it be worth the Pinellas County doing a deal to keep the Rays here? Like, well, of course people are going to say yes to that. Yeah, we'd love to have the Rays. Not at what cost. So, and the fact that they're putting this poll out there and paying for all this social media to try and influence. This is what people do these days when they're trying to hoodwink you. Okay. They play the social media game, pay all this money to put all this disinformation out there, hoping the morons will not realize what's going on. So let's all be smarter than that. Look at the poll, see what questions they're asking, or I'll take care of that for you and just tell you it's a completely bogus poll. So don't pay any attention to it. You'll see it all over your social media, but it just shows how disingenuous this organization is that they go out and do things like this. And it's, it is what it is. It's vintage Rays, vintage Stu. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back on the other side, our Hydrate Heroes Hero of the Week, as we salute the military, and our great presenting sponsor, Hydrate Heroes. Michael Gardner will join us with a very, very special 2-star guest. So stay with us here on the JP Peterson Show. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man, Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent-rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset. So make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative Charity is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, presented by the great folks at Hydrate Heroes. And each and every Friday, we recognize one of our military heroes, thanks to Hydrate Heroes. And we want to bring on the CEO, Michael Gardner, who will also introduce us to Major General Keith Thurgood, two-star general who is retired now and is our Hydrate Hero of the Week. Michael, take it away. How are you, my friend?
Hey, good, buddy. How are you doing?
Man, listen to that audio. Listen to that clean audio.
Sounds good.
Hey,
good this
don't
week.
jinx us. Don't jinx us. I'm driving, but I pulled over, and actually I'm on the way to event over to Palm Beach. And yeah, today we have a special guest, and man, I tell you, he's a top-notch guy. I mean, a two-star general. I mean, you got to hear from this guy. He's actually part of our board on Hydrate Heroes. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, and I think you know, JP, but to your audience, our passion, our mission, giving back to our military, supporting our military, recognizing we have over 130 years of military service on our board. And Keith was one of the first members that came on board with us. And this guy's just a great person, very knowledgeable. And, he's just a top-notch guy. But one good thing too, next week, if you're available, I know you don't like golf too much, but I'll throw it out there. There's another event that I just got to call. I mean, the word's getting out for all the good that we're doing, and now people are starting to call us with our program and the money that we're giving back, and 15% of our gross sale. There's an event over in Orlando, and it's actually a cool foundation. They actually work and for the military, provide service dogs for military veterans. So they're having an event there, golf event. Yeah. So next
I'll be
Friday,
there. I'm there. Dogs,
you're there?
Military, golf. I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm in.
All right.
In.
It's Friday. I'll lock you in for a spot, and definitely. Oh, by the way, guess what? We got second place last week at the
nicely done.
Remember that? Yeah, I'm not going to say I did anything, but I got on the right team.
Well, I know that.
Yeah. Well,
you're just there to support the team and have fun, and you do a great
I'm
job.
like the front office. Man. I know how to recruit.
All right. Well, what you don't know is you should introduce your guest expeditiously. So we'll do that for you as we bring in Major General Keith Thurgood. Hello, General. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much. Enjoyed the conversation. I heard a little bit of you talking about football a little bit earlier. We'll see what the Dallas Cowboys do this year, and we'll knock on wood to see if the Dallas Stars actually get some wins here.
Yeah, that you need a little bit of help for your down. My co-host Tim Ham is in Dallas, so he covers the Cowboys. Now, all right, well, let's tap in, Keith. Now, do you have how did you think the Cowboys did in the draft, and what are you looking for them to do?
Well, I don't follow it that close, but it looks like they got somebody good. Mm-hmm. And the expectation in Dallas is, as it is basically every year, they want to win the playoffs and win the Super Bowl. So I think a lot of that's going to depend on how Dak Prescott, the quarterback, does. I don't think he's that impressive, but that's just one guy here talking.
They'll have another MVP season, and they'll be one and done in the playoffs. There you go.
Yeah, that's the thing. If there was ever a team that had everything that they needed, it's like, what's going on here? I don't get it.
Well, that's the Dallas Cowboys.
That's the Dallas Cowboys. Welcome to Dallas.
Yeah,
all shine, no substance. That's the star on the helmet, baby. That's what they bring. Yeah. Well,
or as they say in Texas, it's all hat, no cattle, or something like that.
Yes, much more appropriate. Much more appropriate. Keith, first of all, Hydrate Heroes is a great sponsor of ours. You're on their board. What do you love about what they're doing and how they're helping out the military?
Well, one of the things I like about Hydrate Heroes is not only the people, Michael and others that are on the board, but they're doing good things. So this is a group of people that are passionate about giving back.
Yeah.
This is a group of people that's passionate about making a difference in those who are called to serve the nation. And if you think about those that are called to serve, it's less than 1% of the population. And so this is an opportunity to do a couple of good things, at least in my estimation. One is, how can we help those that are defending the nation, who are called to give their blood and treasure, and make them as good as they can be? How do we create a resilient force, those that are actually fighting the battles that are out there every single day at the tip of the spear, and those that keep the home fires burning? It's a small way to do it. And if you think about the veteran population, round numbers here, there's 18 million veterans in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You add all the family members in there, and now you're approaching 100 million. And in some areas of the country, it's a little bit of a sad affair. So we've got 24% of our active duty military service members who are actually food insecure in 2020.
That's unacceptable.
Yeah, it's totally unacceptable. And we can do things to make a difference in their lives. And so when you think about Hydrate Heroes, this is just a small portion that we can collectively do to give back and make a small difference.
Well, that's what I say. Before you spend $10 on a case of Gatorade or whatever you're doing, do something for yourself and get something that's healthier, and do something for others with the money that we give to the military. And on that, there's been a lot of press out there lately, General Thurgood, that there's, we're not doing as a government, we're not doing enough to keep our military ready, and we're not doing enough to help our veterans while we're giving a lot of money to other places. I don't want to get too political here, but it doesn't seem right, and a lot of people are pissed off about it. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, I would describe this as the paradox of war. So the very thing that keeps a nation out of war and resilient means that you have to invest in the military. You have to build deterrence. And to the extent that we do that, we can avoid war, and we can partner with our allies across the globe to make a difference. To the extent that we don't do that, it's the paradox. We don't think we need to invest. That makes us vulnerable. And then as a result, we're not ready to go when we need to go.
Right. I think that's very well said. And we probably need to do a better job of that. And our veterans as well that are food insecure and are homeless. We should be doing more for them as well. Do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you think about just the veterans at large. So these are folks that when the nation needed them, they were there.
Right.
And they're there today. And we want a military that is resilient. And when I say resilient, it's not just the ability to bounce back. That's important. But it's also the ability to spring forward. So let's learn from what we're doing as a military, as an army, as leaders. And let's use that to make the military much more resilient. And to do that means that we have to continue to invest in the military. We have to make sure that they're taken care of. And we don't need our veterans, living on the streets here. These are folks that have committed their lives to making a difference. And we need to do everything that we can to help them. And again, Hydrate Heroes is just one little teeny piece of this entire big pie.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And also when they come back, there's just a lot of challenges that maybe you could speak to, that, coming back into society when you've been in Afghanistan or wherever for 2 or 3 tours. It's not easy. What do they deal with?
Yeah, so I'll just give you my own personal experience. So when I left for Iraq in 2006, and I was there in 06 and 07, which I called the bad years in Iraq, because in those years, that's when our IEDs and our KIAs and wounded in action actually peaked. It didn't start to draw down until after maybe March or April, after General Petraeus got there, and we put a bunch of brigades and other forces, on the ground there. But I know from my own personal experience, when I left for Iraq, I considered myself a decently adjusted guy. I didn't think there was anything that we'd be worried about. So I'm over there for a year, and I'm not kicking down doors every day, but I'm sharing the risk in convoys and other areas with my soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And I came back from Iraq after being there for a year, And for about 6 months, I could not stop thinking about what was going on over there. The soldiers that we'd left behind, those that were wounded, some that got killed. And my wife at the time said, I think you've got PTSD. And of course, I'm like, no, I'm fine. Don't worry about it, And but I look back on that now, and I think it was a struggle for me. And I wish I had gotten a different kind of help earlier, just so that I could, reintegrate back to my family. And oh, by the way, it's hard on the families too.
Yes.
So if you're gone for a year, the wife or the spouse, the kids, they develop their own routines.
Yeah.
And then you come back all of a sudden and you're disrupting that routine. And it's hard for families. It's hard for kids. It's hard for those that served. So that's my own experience. Well, so I think, again, anyway, anything that we can do to help them, coach, teach, mentor, give them the right kinds of jobs where they can add value, that's all beneficial.
Major General Keith Thurgood, thank you for being our Hydrate Heroes Hero of the Week. You're up, Michael. I'm coming to you.
JP, I can't go out that easy, but one thing about Keith, now mind you, this is a 2-star general. 2-star generals served. But let me ask you a question, Keith. What did your brother do differently from you to be a 3-star general?
Wow, that's a great point.
2-star. His brother's a 3-star. So
my brother retired about a year ago. He was retired as a lieutenant general, a 3-star general, and I remind him frequently, because we were both at the Pentagon at a time. At the time I was a 1-star. He was a colonel. I remind him that everything he knows about generalship, I taught him. That's all he needs to know.
He just kissed butt more than you did, is what you wanted to say, right? That's what you're going to say?
He's a super guy. Yeah.
Great pedigree.
Awesome. That's how you get those promotions. It works the same way in the civilian world, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
General, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate all you do, and thank you for your 28 years of service and your family service as well. And we can't do it without you. Everything we do, and being able to talk sports every day is because of what you've done and you're in the military. So thank you very much, and we really appreciate you and all you do. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad to be just a small part of this, and rock on, folks. Rock on.
And I'm not going to say go Cowboys, but
No.
Go Cowboys.
Yeah.
And good luck to the Stars, because my Lightning will be out soon, probably. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, we'll see you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks,
Michael. Thank you once again for bringing us another great Hydrate Hero. Good stuff. What a good man. And hearing his personal experience, it's an interesting story, because you think of the infantrymen and the enlisted, and those are the ones who have PTSD. When it happens to a 2-star general, they're all affected. It's not easy to come back to the civilian world. So that's why what you do and giving back 15% of your gross sales to the military, these great military charities is a great thing. So we thank you.
No, thank you, buddy. I appreciate you and all you do, and I look forward to you being out there next Friday, man. Let's bring your A game, though. Only the A game. All right, buddy.
All right. Can I bring my service dog? I got my service dog right back here.
Absolutely. Yeah, they'll be friends for him to hang out with.
Thank you very much, Michael. Appreciate it.
Sir. Thanks.
All right, we'll take. We got time for another break here. Let's get one more break in here and thank our great sponsors, including Hydrate Heroes here and our military. We'll wrap things up with what's going to happen on day 2 of the draft. Where are the Bucks going? Where are the Cowboys going? Where are all those teams you covered going, Timmy? We'll talk about that. Maybe sneak in some Dallas Stars conversation as well. Look around the NHL. Stay with us. Quick break.
JP here from my friends at your local Synovus Bank. And I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation. And that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how.
For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to Synovus.com to find out where your local branch is.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Are you looking to be more productive and healthier? Do you know chronic dehydration affects your overall health and well-being? 75% of the U.S. population suffers from dehydration, and many of us don't even know it. That was me before I was introduced to Hydrate Heroes. 8 times the benefits with hydration. A beverage with benefits more than just hydration. That's right, 8 times the benefits with hydration. Hydrate Heroes provides a refreshing, great-tasting beverage powder to mix with water, providing elderberry, zinc, vitamin D, electrolytes, amla fruit, which provides a great source of vitamin C, along with a proprietary mushroom blend that has shown to help increase endurance and energy at the cellular level. Hydrate Heroes is so confident you're going to love the taste and the results. They are offering our listeners a special offer, a free 3-pack sample, no credit card needed. Just go to the jppetersonshow.com, the jppetersonshow.com, and click on Hydrate Heroes logo. Hydrate for health today with Hydrate Heroes.
With over 34 years of producing small and large events, Extravaganza Productions is truly a Tampa treasure when it comes to creating some of the very best events in Tampa and all across the United States. I've worked with them at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductions, the Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-sized event spread across all of Tampa Bay. They are the very best, from small meetings to exceptionally large corporate conferences to galas, fundraisers, sporting events, grand openings, whatever you want. Team EPI has an extremely talented staff of designers and show producers that develop extraordinary events fueled by the visions of their clients. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com.
Let's go! Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. If you want to get your nutrition right, your testosterone right, your daily routines right, go to BAMMC.com. They'll meet with you, do your blood work, hour and a half, hour, whatever it takes to really find out what's going on with you. You're not going to get that from your other physicians out there that give you about 15 minutes. So Bay Area Modern Medical Center is where to go get that personalized medicine at BAMMC.com. You can make your appointments right there. Very easily done. All right, Tim Ham. We haven't really got into what Dallas is up to. And Jason Light even said in his press conference he was glad they traded down. What's the plan here in Dallas?
Well, man, the Cowboys need so many positions still. And I'm a big fan of the pick. I like Tyler Guyton. I would have liked to have seen Barton. I probably would have liked to have seen, and we haven't talked about this guy. I can't believe he is still on the board. We've talked about him before, Jackson Powers Johnson. I thought he was the best offensive lineman, center, especially in the draft, right? And all of these guys are flying off the board ahead of him. I realize there's been some talk of some potential medical issues with him, which, man, when that happens, that's a death sentence for a kid in the first round, right? But
concussions, I think really scare you off because they're so unpredictable, and it can end your career like that. I still believe in my heart that Ali Marpet's surprise retirement had a lot to do with that, and because these guys now, and even the medicals on guys, you can get the brain imaging and you can see where CTE is and if it's starting and if it's developing. So it can scare teams off. I still think, he's a hell of a player and would have been a great draft pick, but that's an unknown, and that's why Graham Barton was probably the better pick because he doesn't have those issues.
Yeah.
And it's a much safer pick and probably the better pick, to be quite honest.
And for Tampa to want to move him, to center, he played center as a freshman. It's not like he's never played it.
Yeah.
So he's got the skills and he's adaptable. I always thought Jackson Powers Johnson was going to be a plug and play immediately in day one. He's a starter, and Barton we think is going to be that. I don't know that Guyton is that though for the Cowboys. He needs to be.
Yeah.
But I don't know that he is. That concerns me a little bit.
Well, that's why I thought Graham Barton wasn't going to be on the board because of the Cowboys, because they need a tackle and a center. Yep. And so if you draft him, you can play him at either position depending on what you get in the second round or third round, where it gives you much more flexibility in the draft when you have that versatility. And listen, the Bucs might not be done. If Jackson Powers Johnson is there when they pick, they may go get him and stick Graham Barton at left guard. I mean, that's you start, listen, the offensive line is where it's at. You build a great offensive line. You imagine you get Jackson Powers Johnson at center, Barton at left guard, Cody Mauck at right guard, Gedeke and Tristan Wirfs. I don't care who's running the damn football or who's throwing the damn football. They're going to have a chance. They're going to have a really, really good chance to be a good offense. And you just can't go wrong getting good linemen. And then, you can always find good. Chris Godwin was a third-round pick. He's been one of the top 10 receivers in the league, in my opinion, especially pre-injury.
Sure.
And so I
maybe
would,
the
I
best
would love
receiving
to see
tandem in the league to this day with Evans and Godwin. So,
I mean, you talk about, teams that haven't had the Giants haven't had 1,000-yard receivers since Odell Beckham in 2018. The Bucs have had 3 years running, so the offensive line is where it's at. And the more now, of course, the Bucs need to address the pass rush as well. But as we've said very often, this is not a very deep draft for that. And you just don't want to draft the position to draft the position. It's got to be a player that can produce.
Yeah. And, the Cowboys are in the same position as the Bucs. They still need more depth at offensive line. But they also need a running back, and they're really big on Texas Longhorns, Jonathan Brooks. A lot of teams were.
Yeah.
But man, I don't think you take Brooks anything higher than in the third round, which unless you just need somebody that bad, teams will reach if that's their guy, right? That's what happened a lot in the first round. That's why Penix came off the board to Atlanta, because they thought, well, that's our guy, so we got to go get him now instead of waiting till the second round when he probably should go. But the Cowboys, if they feel like they need a running back, and by the way, Ezekiel Elliott has been in town for 2 visits with the Cowboys. I don't know why you're visiting with the Cowboys. You clearly know each other. What's the point? So,
when that's because you could put Ezekiel Elliott and Cowboys in the same headline, and the people will click on it. That's
absolutely. It's not even clickbait because it's a real story, because it keeps happening. But if the Cowboys go get Jonathan Brooks in the second round, I will be highly depressed, because you still need offensive line help. And there are still offensive linemen, even aside from Powers Johnson.
And Trey Benson may even be there in the high third round.
Yes. So good God, go. But you still need an edge rusher. You need a defensive tackle. You need linebacker help, because, of course, Leighton Vander Esch had to retire due to his neck injuries. That was a huge hit for the Cowboys that was unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
Just the Cowboys have so many holes to fill, and you're clearly not doing anything in free agency, right? And maybe they'll get a little more active in free agency after the draft. I don't know. You got a lot of checks you got to start writing, because you got to extend Dak, you got to extend CeeDee Lamb, you got to extend Micah Parsons. They're up a creek, man, and they got about half a paddle.
They're not extending. I think Dak is not long for the Cow. I think this is his last year. I think the trade of Trey Lance pretty much secures that.
And I'm okay with that, but he's been here a year now, and I have seen nothing about Trey Lance in practice. I've seen nothing about Trey Lance, how he's working with the first team in the offseason or in practice or anything. And I honestly feel if Dak had gone down with an injury last year, of course, we have Cooper Rush as the number 2, but that's all he'll ever be as a number 2. I think if Dak went down with an injury this year, I think you've seen some Trey Lance action in actual.
You better have to.
That's all that concerns me. If Trey Lance is the guy, that's great. I got no problem with that if he's the guy. But we got to see something at some point, right? Just like
absolutely
the whole Kyle Trask situation in Tampa. You don't see the guy. You don't know.
Yeah, and a wasted pick at this point for sure.
Sure.
Nathan Elliott says Bolts fans have checked out. Amalie Arena will be filled with Panthers fans. The Bolts deserve better. I hope you're wrong, Nathan, but I fear you may be right. Yeah. James says, JP, these games haven't been close. Maybe the final score, but during the game, Bolt's not in the same league. Sure, they're not losing 5-0, but it's clear the series isn't close. I'd have to disagree with that. I think the score indicates where they're at, and I think the Panthers are the better team, but I don't think they're light year. I don't think they're 5-0 better. I don't think this is a Rangers Caps thing. I don't even think it's even close. Thomas reminds us that the Lightning came back 0-3 series in 2015. That's right. It's been done before. Christopher Cole, Giants had no option because there was nothing left at quarterback. There was Penix, there was Bo Nix, right? There was JJ McCarthy.
Yeah.
They were all there. So I'll have to respectfully disagree with you there. Who else? I want to get some new folks in there. Christopher Cole says Raheem Morris did not look happy. What I think Dominic Foxworth called him the something pastor, the prosperity pastor. Does he look like a prosperity pastor?
That's funny.
Like, it was a nice suit. Ain't no doubt about that.
Even the look on his face, man, he didn't even want to be there. He wasn't smiling. He was just sort of like, meh.
Yeah, exactly. Michael LaRue says taking Graham Barton was a home run pick. Jackson Powers Johnson has medical concerns. Agree. James says Penix must sit for at least 2 years. Makes 0 sense. I agree. Meets McGee. What's up, brother? Marshawn Nealon is my choice at edge, and Ruke or Hora at defensive end. We need more ass kickers on both sides of the line. Absolutely. Could not agree more. So we'll see what the Bolts or the Bucks do tonight with their second round pick, and they got 2/3 on Saturday. So much. So we get second and third round tonight. I forget.
The Stars will be there. Yeah.
Second round for the draft. It's just second round tonight, right? And then
no, it's second and third, and then you get
second and third tonight.
4 through 7 on Saturday. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good. Then we'll get 3 picks tonight for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Be interesting to see what maybe they'll package those 2/3 and move up into second. We shall see. All right, Timmy. Great job from you, my friend. Have a great weekend there in Dallas. Enjoy your
Stars.
Go Stars. Go Lightning. Go Bucks. I think the Rays are playing this weekend. We didn't even mention them. They're very forgettable these days. Sorry.
So are the Rangers, man.
Yeah, it's just baseball. I'm not ready for baseball yet.
No.
Y'all have a great weekend. We'll be hitting our snarky comments and little videos all over the weekend. So pay attention to our social media if you so desire. But enjoy the weekend. See you then.